Welcome to Scoop World Orders Tuesday. It is go time for the Bucks. The Notre Dame week is finally here. The game that we've been waiting for. Haven't been out there since 96. Played them a few times. Obviously 05, 15 last year. Always memorable against the Irish. Huge wins for the Buckeyes each time. So it is go time. We're going to keep the streak alive and well. Guys, you have to play their best games. I think that they will. I think that this is a Tommy Eichenberg, Steel Chambers kind of game. Stop the run, man. They got a guy who's got over 500 yards rushing. He's a very, very good player. Really excited to see what this defense can do in their tallest task yet. With that being said, as always, we're very thankful, grateful for you guys tuning in. Appreciate you guys who enjoy this content. Please leave us a like. Those are huge for the shows. When you leave those likes, it helps people find the show. So thank you for doing that. Also, click subscribe, send this to your friends, and also click the little alert bell so that you know when we're going live. We appreciate all of our regulars who are filtering in here. As always, shout out where you guys are watching from. I saw Portsmouth, I saw Youngstown, New Albany, Lewis Center, Dublin, Naples, all over the place, Colorado, California. We appreciate all you guys tuning in from everywhere. And comment who needs to have their MVP performance this week. I'm going to go Tommy Eichenberg just to start off that run. I'm excited. This is a Tommy Eichenberg pack your tough clothes, your hard hat type of game, because Notre Dame's a very physical team, and I think we are very physical as well. That being said, I'm going to bring up a good friend, Nevadabuck. Nevada, how are you tonight?
I am doing great, man. I'm so excited. This is a great week. Notre Dame week is always exciting. You know, these games don't come along all the time. But I'm going to start off with just a little admonishment, just a little bit of advice and admonishment to some people out there. If you're the kind of fan that's waiting for like the end of the year, you're kind of going, I believe in this team, but I'm going to wait till I see it till Michigan, or I'm going to wait till I see it till the playoff, or I'm going to wait till I see it. I'm telling you, you're missing a great year. And why not be happy now? And then if you get disappointed later, at least you were happy now. Because if you're unhappy now and then you're happy later, you missed all this months of happiness. So that's Nevadabuck's thought for the day. Be happy now. This defense is playing fantastic football. I mean, through 3 games, we've given up 20 points. Through 3 games, we've given up 0 points in the second half. Is that going to continue on? Of course not. But it's a really great data point. And I question for people is, look, if the defense was doing poorly, would you be upset? Would you consider that to be like a bad sign for the defense? And if the answer is yes, well, then when the defense does well, why don't you consider that a good sign and be happy? So that's it. Nevadabuck is saying Tuesday, be happy. It's Notre Dame week. There's lots to be excited about. And I really think we're going to put out a good effort on Saturday night. I think it's going to be another level. I think the guys are juiced up. I think Ryan Day's juiced up. And as Ryan Day showed last week, he's got a really good finger on the pulse of this team, and he's pushing the button on go. So let's go.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Guys, enjoy the season. Again, we're already a quarter of the way done. We're 3 games in the 12-game season. I mean, it flies by. So you better enjoy it, because before you know it, we'll be down to January and football will almost be over. So I enjoy all these games, but I especially enjoy these matchup games where we don't have to get up. Like, we don't have to extend. We're just like the players. I mean, so there's some days it's like, man, we got to do a podcast on Youngstown State or a team that nobody cares about that we're going to beat by, 35 points or 50 points or whatever. But this is a real one. This is going to be one where I couldn't wait to podcast. Did a ton of research, watched a lot of film today. I love watching what these guys do. Notre Dame is a very physical outfit. There's some guys, look at you, JT Tumalo and Jack Sawyer, that can make some serious coinage NFL draft-wise, because they got maybe the best left tackle in the country. I mean, it's him or Olu from Penn State, but Joe Alt is a guy, he'll be a 3-and-out guy, kind of like a Joe Thomas type guy, 6'8". Obviously, Joe Thomas, one of the most proficient tackles ever play. Obviously, first ballot Hall of Famer, Browns legend, Badgers legend. But this guy, frame wise, he's kind of like him. He's a 6'8" guy. Not a lot of 6'8" guys. We had Taylor was a 6'8" guy, but he's a lengthy guy. We're gonna watch a little bit of tape of him. But for guys like JT and Jack, man, Mike Hall, when you're going against like a team that runs the ball, pounds the rock, and their identity is toughness and physicality, it's a great measuring stick. I mean, I remember when we played these guys in '05 and they had Brady Quinn, who was fantastic, and they had Charlie Weiss and Samardzija and Victor Abiamiri. I mean, they had NFL guys all over, Zibikowski, NFL guys everywhere. And it was a real one. I mean, we knew we had to eat our Wheaties and get ready to go, and we ended up scorching them because we had guys like Ted Ginn and San Antonio. And I think that these games really come down to the skill guys. I think the skill guys have to make plays. I think that some of these guys, I think frankly, were sleepwalking the first few weeks. They're not excited about it. They'll be jazzed up here, especially when you get to go on the road. You get to go on the road and play a team like Notre Dame. It's impossible not to be like kind of going out of your mind because it's so fun to be booed and hated and nasty environment. And I think that that's going to be something that's going to be exciting. Nevada, who do you think has to really step up this week? I think we're going to see that 3 linebacker look that we saw last week when they went 2 tight ends with Sonny Styles playing playing Sam linebacker. But who needs to step up this week?
Well, I mean, let's take it on either side of the ball. Defensively, the way Notre Dame's going to attack Ohio State is see if they can have success on first and second down and avoid those third and long, those obvious passing situations. That's what they want to get out of. So I would expect Notre Dame to come out and, I don't expect them to come out and just like pound the rock. I think they'll come out and go like play action pass or do something right off the bat. They're going to try to keep the OSU defense off guard. And our challenge obviously is to try to have some negative plays, have some neutral plays to try to keep them off schedule, keep them out of their rhythm. And when you talk about stuff like that, it's you're talking about the front four, you're talking about Mike Hall, you're talking about Tyleek, you're talking about Jack and JT, and obviously Steele and Tommy. It's going to be a game that you're going to have to control the line. You can't be in a situation where they're able to get 5, 6, 7 yards when they run the ball, or sit back in pass protection and have time. So it's going to be a great matchup. It's going to be a great matchup, on defense and offensively. Hey, if we can protect McCord, this is McCord's first time going on the road in this type of an environment. Huge game, national television, under the lights. Going to be a raucous environment, and we just need him to not completely soil himself and just have a decent game. He just can't be bad. He can't come out and pull a Deshaun Watson and throw a pick 6 on the first play of the game or something like that and have us get into a hole. He just needs to be in control, make the plays that he's capable of, run opportunistically if he gets the chance and he's flushed, and do his thing. So to me, on offense, the story is Kyle McCord. On defense, it's that front four and those 2 linebackers.
Yeah, I agree. We'll check out a little bit of Joe Alt. Obviously, the quarterback, Sam Hartman. Fantastic start. No turnovers thus far. Here's Alt. I mean, he's a big, easy guy, big, easy mover here. There's no way. This is suicide right here, this coverage. We're not going to see this with Marvin and Emeka unless they want to lose by 80. But, here they're guys. And I talked to some Notre Dame website guys. They don't think they have any speed on the outside, and that's from a Notre Dame site. So we're not going to see coverage like that. But again, it'll be a test for our corners. I think that we were going to have some challenges, but they're big physical possession guys. They're not burners. So again, it'll lend more to the run support. Our guys are going to be down in the line. I think that having said that, I think that the whole key to this game is stopping the run. Audric Estimine has been really, really good. 500 yards already. Leads the nation in rushing. Physical offensive line. This will be like Indiana on steroids, basically, because they're going to try to run the ball, pound the clock. Don't let Marvin and Emeka on the field. Don't let Trey on the field. Hold the ball and just try to grind out a low-scoring game. Like Notre Dame wants this to be low-scoring. They don't want it to be some high-flying. You don't want to get a track meet with Ohio State because you're going to lose. So these guys are going to run the ball. Again, we've made a lot of noise about how quick these games go by. And this one, I think it's going to go by quick because I think Notre Dame's going to try to pound us and physically maul us. And, this is a Tyleek game. This is a Tommy Eichenberg game. The 2 guys that I think could really eat are Tyleek and Mike because they got new guards this year. Their tackles are as good of a duo as there is in the country, especially the left tackle. But the right tackle's a year younger. Kind of on that same trajectory of just being a great player. But that interior, man, they got some youngsters in there, and they've never seen anything like Mike Hall. They don't have anything on their defense like Mike Hall, Ty Leak. So, again, and can Jack and JT get that type of pressure again? Because that's what you're gonna have to do. You have to affect this quarterback. This quarterback, he hasn't really seen anything like Ohio State. I mean, he's seen this is a big level jump for him. So I'm really excited to get to this one. Nevada, who on offense needs to step up? I think that this is a Trey Henderson game. I think that when I think there's this natural competitive juice that happens when you play really any sport, but when you're out there and you see that their tailback has 500 yards and you see that he leads the nation rushing, he gets a ton of touches. I can't help but think that Trey Henderson wants to show this guy what's up and say, I'm the best tailback on the field. Sit down. You aren't on my level, and I'm going to show you that today because I always feel like it's like that. Like when I was a tackle, I want to be the best tackle on the field. I didn't care who was over there, if it was Jake Long, with Joe Thomas, like some of the guys that were on the other sideline. And it wasn't guys I directly went against, but I think that there's that competitive nature. And I think this is a Trey Henderson game. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's going to be interesting to see how they scheme it. I think Notre Dame's going to try to play that game where they try to play that shell and try to see if Ohio State's, comfortable kind of, dinking and dunking down the field. And to me, that indicates, a Cade Stover type, a Julian Fleming type, a Carnell Tate type, the guys that kind of not in the prime time, the guys that they're not going to try to scheme to take away like a Marvin or a Mecca. I think we're going to have to go to those second and third tier guys and see if those guys could just really hurt, Notre Dame so that guys like Trey can start doing their work. So guys like Chip can start doing their work. But I just have a feeling it's going to be one of the unsung Buckeyes that, like Xavier Johnson last year, making that big play for the touchdown. It's going to be one of those guys that makes that big play that kind of breaks this thing open. I just have a feeling it's going to be that kind of game. I agree with you. I think it's going to be low scoring. I think it's going to be a grinded out kind of affair. And, they're tough because, it's he who makes the fewest mistakes win, he who gets some of those calls. As we saw in the Browns Steelers game last night, if you turn the ball over, if you don't get the right calls to the referees, man, the games can slip away from you, even if you're holding the team to negative yards in the fourth quarter. So I think Ohio State's just got to play a clean game, play a smart game, and I think it could be an unsung hero that steps up and makes that big play that puts them over the top.
Yeah, I agree. Here's a little 4th and 1 action. Again, this is against a MAC team. I know that we had some issues early in the season, short yardage. Again, the hands. If I'm this kid, I got my call here. Wide hands. If you get your hands out here, and he has his hands inside on you, you're getting pushed backwards on 4th and 1. Joe Alt makes the player. Doesn't get much of this guy, but he gets the linebacker who's triggering, gets just enough of them, and it squeaks out of here for a touchdown on 4th and 1. So, again, it's 7-7. This is kind of like what we've been going through. The guys aren't jazzed up to play Central, especially with Ohio State coming to town. Because, again, I played in games like this. I coached in games like this. Like these games that are, we haven't been out there since 96. So, I mean, it's been a long time. And so people, this is one of those games they schedule 10 years out, 12 years out, whatever it is. And it just incrementally gets closer. And man, when it's like, January, the season's over, people already start talking to these kids about, man, I can't wait to go to that Ohio State game. Man, I can't wait to see the big bad Buckeyes, because we're the A-listers, we're the star of the show. So this is the one that they got all the big donors flying into town. They'll have all the alumni there. I'm sure all the major great Notre Dame players will be there on the sideline. This is it. So, it's going to be real interesting to see who can manage that emotion. Honestly, for me, I actually loved playing on the road in these games because you have no distractions. There's no you don't have a bunch of family coming to town. You don't have, you don't have a bunch of hoopla. You don't have people up all night around your hotel. Like you're usually sequestered, 30 minutes away or wherever at some Marriott or whatever. So, but I'm just really excited for these guys. I think that these guys have a chance to really shake up the world and make a statement. I think that, there's people that doubt Ohio State this year, and I've watched a lot of college football this year, and I do not see a single team that I'd be scared to death of. Frankly, if you put a gun to my head, and what teams am I the most scared of? It might be, some of the teams that just have really good quarterbacks, like SC or Texas. It's not because their defense is any good. I mean, Texas's defense is much better, obviously, than USC's, but they can just score it. In modern college football, these games turn into track meets in these national championships, 45-35 or whatever it is. But I think that they make a statement here. I mean, this team could kind of hit that stretch run. Nevada, do you think that this team is a serious contender to win the national championship this year?
Oh, absolutely. I
Oh.
absolutely did. But to win the national championship, you go back through history of we can talk about those successful seasons. We can talk about the unsuccessful seasons where you stubbed your toe along the way and lost games, and those things are on a really fine line. It comes down to a few games, a few quarters, a few plays that really determine whether or not you're in the championship hunt. But from a talent standpoint, this is the deepest, most talented Ohio State team that I've ever seen, and that includes 2015. So this is a very, 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 very good team. Just young at some key spots, inexperienced at some key spots. But if they get some things going, if they have a nice, some success on Saturday night, the sky is absolutely the limit for them. Because when you have a veteran defense, when you have an experienced defense, when you have a good defense, and you have a premier back, you have those things, let alone the best wide receiver in college football, that can take you a long way. That can keep you in every game, and that'll beat a lot of teams. So Ohio State is definitely somebody that nobody's going to want to see at the end of the year. This is just one of those hurdles we got to get through. We got to find a way. I don't care if we win 3-2, just win on Saturday night. Win, survive, improve, advance, and let's just keep on moving down the schedule. But I really think the Buckeyes are going to give a good showing. Every indication that I'm getting from inside, and I just have a feeling this is going to be a really good night for Ohio State, and I'm not as concerned about this as a lot of people are.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that the most important factor to win a national championship, I think, is luck, just because you have to stay injury free at key positions. Obviously, you saw the Nick Chubb injury last night. '06, we get all the way to the dance, and Ted Ginn breaks his leg on the first play of the game. That 19 game against Clemson that we should have won, J.K. Dobbins gets hurt. We lose Trey Sermon like the first play of the Alabama game in 2020. And again, those games turned into avalanches and we lost, those two championship games. But, would it have been different with Ted Ginn? Yeah. Would it have been different with Trey Sermon? Well, he ran for like 1,000 yards in his previous like 3 games or something crazy like that. So you never know. I mean, again, like when your game plan is to run the ball, ground and pound, or throw over the top of, because none of those corners from Florida could have checked Ted Ginn. There's no way. So, again, you need some luck. You obviously need to. The biggest thing is I think you just have to hit that wave of just continual positive growth. And I think that Ryan Day, to his credit, lit this team up last Sunday. It was we had it sourced impeccably that, I mean, he got after these kids, and it was a nasty, brutal film session. It was not fun to be in the Wood Hayes last Sunday. So he got their attention. Magically, these young kids, after you scream at them and you get them all tuned in, they actually play great, and they act like they want to be there, and they play with effort, and they're not lazy. So, again, I don't think that, they're not bad kids, but sometimes, they sleepwalk a little bit, especially in these crappy games. Again, I played in them, coached in them. You can go in the locker room and tell when there's no energy, no juice, like it's just a morgue. So again, this won't be one of those weeks. Like, they are not going to be sleepwalking here. Nevada, talk a little bit about Jim Knowles' impact. And you had a really interesting statistic that you sent to me. He has not allowed a point in the second half this season through 3 games, which I think is remarkable. It speaks to adjustments. It speaks to closing it out. We've had years here where we've been awful after halftime. But talk a little bit about what he's meant to correct this defense and get things drawn up and fixed, and what he's meant this year defensively.
Well, look, I mean, if we're going to blame the coordinators when things go wrong, we got to give credit to them when they go right. And that Indiana game, the first game, presented some unique challenges because Indiana came out and ran triple option. Nobody had any idea they were going to do that. They did it, and they had to kind of fix that on the fly. They had to kind of change assignments. We hadn't practiced for it, and the fact, after a little early adjustments, we were able to kind of get it tamped down. That was great. Obviously, the YSU game was what it was, and then Western Kentucky, high flying, number one passing offense in the country last year, able to come down and shut them down. Let me give you another stat. Through 3 games now, we've only allowed 5 runs of 7 yards or more in 3 games. So again, is that the end all be all? No, of course not. It's not the end of the journey, but it's a pretty good sign that this defense is sound, that this defense is able to structurally correct, that this defense is able to make adjustments at halftime and shut down teams, which is really the indication to me of a really well coordinated, really well coached unit. So I think Knowles deserves a lot of the credit. I think he's really kind of the adult in the room on that side. The guy who's got absolute control on the defense for better or for worse. That doesn't mean we're not going to give up points this week or next week or the week after that, or we're going to give up points. It's just a question of, can he keep us in games? Can he not allow games to get out of hand? And I really think we'll be in every single game this year as a result of this defense, of this veteran unit, and of the Jim Knowles coordination. So, yeah, the $2 million man has definitely got my support. I'm the conductor of the Jim Knowles Express, and every day I turn around and look back, and there's more people on the train. Man, there's still room for more, but man, the train's getting filled up pretty quick right now. So jump on board before it gets too far down the track.
I love it. Like I think he looked in the mirror, he changed. The defense is coordinated. The guys are flying around. The guys are playing a lot of energy, a lot of toughness. Like I love the trajectory of this defense right now. It's a selfless unit. Again, stats are for losers. A great coach, Bill Belichick, maybe the greatest coach who's ever lived, said that. It's one of his favorite quotes. Stats are for losers. Don't worry about stats. The only stat I care about is points per game. And right now we're giving up like 6, which is absolutely incredible. It's actually number 2 in the entire nation behind the Big Blue, the Michigan Wolverines. Super chat. Appreciate this. Oh, why not today? Although Ohio State should win this game, what is your biggest concern that could possibly cause us to lose? Is it the O-line? To me, it's not the O-line. To me, it's just, can our secondary keep it together? And can they, I don't think these guys are going to run past our corners and our safeties, but I think that their quarterback is the best player on their entire team outside of their left tackle. And, we got to affect that guy. You got to get him to the ground. You got to hit him. He's got to go down early. And then you got to just, not let these guys throw it over their head. Again, I'll flip over here. Again, they took a lot of shots against Central Michigan. This isn't Ohio State secondary. This isn't Burke and Igbenogson, but they're taking a shot here, and this kid put it right on the money, and that's an 80-yard touchdown throw. So, Nevada, for you, is there anything you're worried about? If there is an area that you would have a level of concern about, what would it be?
Well, I'll just say players. And I talked a little bit about this earlier, but I'm going to go on it again. McCord, is the moment too big for him yet? And that's not a knock on Kyle. It's just that we don't know. None of us know right now how he's going to respond in this situation. And when your quarterback's kind of untested in these situations, I hope he just comes out and plays his game and continues on the trajectory that he's shown, through the first 3 games. Even if it's rocky, just hang in there, Kyle. Trust your guys. I think they'll make the game easy on them. I think Ohio State's found some things with kind of threatening the inside run and then that little swing past the Trey. It's almost kind of a little RPO look. I think Ohio State's going to try to make it easy on Kyle in the beginning and try to get him into a rhythm. Defensively, it's a guy who's been playing out of his mind, but he's kind of a high-risk, high-reward kind of guy, and that's Josh Proctor. Josh likes to go for those big plays, likes to go for those big hits, and don't get sucked in, Josh. You know what I'm saying? Don't be climbing up the line and then bite on that play action and then they go deep or vacate your zone or something like that. So, Josh is one of those guys that I'm looking at. He's a 6-year guy. Just be responsible, play within yourself. As long as Ohio State keeps the game in front of them, doesn't give up the big plays, the big, the big chunk plays on blown coverages or on mistakes, I think we're going to be just fine. And but like I said, those are my 2 guys I'm going to be watching, and hopefully they both have big games.
Yeah, I think it's going to be real interesting. I think in an actual real noisy environment, because Indiana's not a noisy environment. you got to handle pass protection. Again, Notre Dame blitzes here, miscommunication. The running back misses the edge guy. Quarterback is just, you know, just tiptoeing in the tulips right there and gets absolutely crushed. But this is just miscommunication. They got enough guys to block him. I mean, the running back has to open his eyes and see this guy because everyone else is perfect. You got your guy coming backside, but the running back's got his eyes closed, so the quarterback gets absolutely murdered. And again, that's just miscommunication. Stop paying attention. And again, loud environment, your communication when there's severe noise is something that you really got to work on. I'm sure they'll have the music going at practice, the crowd noise going at practice. Yeah, I think for me, it's the offensive line just communicating. They haven't played together in a loud environment. Carson Hinn's been getting the calls in, getting everything right. I think that Kyle McCord and the players just working through the noise, working through the actual crowd noise when it is loud. Ryan Day getting the call in on time, getting it signaled in. Just all of the mechanics of running the offense proficiently in a noisy environment. Because frankly, we don't see a ton in the Big Ten outside of Penn State, Wisconsin. We haven't been to Camp Randall in a couple of years, so a lot of these guys haven't played in a real noisy environment. I mean, so that's going to be something to watch, especially for the offensive line with the communication. Because in '05 we went out to Penn State, man, and we weren't ready for the noise. And Penn State is the loudest place in the country, so a little different than Notre Dame, but. This will be a raucous crowd. It's a night game, so the people will be drinking Fireball all day and having a high old time. So, I think that's going to be really important. Be interesting to see the impact of Davison and Denzel, because at this point with Denzel, I'm not sure I'd be trying him too hard. Like if I'm a quarterback or an OC. I'm really not trying to try Denzel Burks. He's playing at such a high level. So I might pick on Davison. Davis gets a little handsy sometimes. Davison's a freaky athlete. I swear he looks just like Jeff Okuda with his length, but he gets a little handsy sometimes. So, you might want to wear him out a little bit if you're the quarterback. But it'll be interesting. Like I said, they've got a really good complementary running game and passing game. And this is a much different offense than last year when they had Tyler Buchner and they were like a running quarterback team. This guy can throw it. So I'm excited because again, I think these guys are going to be jacked up. I think JT and Jack Sawyer are going to go bonkers because this is the best set of tackles we'll see. These guys are better than Michigan's tackles. They're better. The only other guy on the schedule that's like this guy is the guy at Penn State, the left tackle, who's a real good player. Any final thoughts, Nevada? We'll wrap this thing up. We appreciate all you guys tuning in. It's your final thought today, Nevada.
No, I just think we had a nugget today on Buckeye Scoop. We'll just touch on a little bit, but just watch for utilization of tempo. And as we talked about tempo doesn't necessarily mean go fast all the time, but kind of changing your tempo, changing the kind of the looks, the way you kind of present the offense out there. Does a lot of nice things for Ohio State, does a lot of nice things for Kyle McCord, gives them a lot of distinct advantages, especially when it's loud. So you look for the utilization of tempo to be one of the keys this weekend on the game, and maybe, in my opinion, the key for the offense on Saturday night.
Yeah, to me, I think that people like a quick little synopsis on what tempo is. Tempo means fast, slow. It means look back. It means double look back. Tempo doesn't just mean like jet, which is like run to the ball, get the call in, snap it as fast as possible. That's not necessarily tempo. Tempo means like you could go slow, you could do look back, you could do double look back. I mean, there's a million different types of tempo. So that's what it means when we're talking about that. And Ryan Day has gotten really good at it. And again, with some of the stuff Notre Dame does, I wouldn't be surprised if we ran some more look back stuff just because you can, get a look at what their defense is. They do the little fake clap and then the guys show where they're blitzing from. And then the offense adjusts, the defense adjusts. So, but again, it's just all in the communication. Again, I don't know how much of that you can handle with the line, especially, when it's noisy. I don't know if you want to be changing all kinds of calls because frankly, sometimes linemen can't hear it and they don't get the call. So, it screws everything up if one guy doesn't get the call and blocks the wrong play. So be very interesting. Well, we'll wrap this thing up. We appreciate you guys tuning in. If you guys are not members of BuckeyeScoop.com, you guys need to join it. We got a ton of new subscribers over the weekend. Thank you guys so much for joining up on the message board. The message board is cooking. It is absolutely on fire. Nonstop posting. A lot of excitement already. It's Tuesday. The hardest practice of the week is in the books for the Buckeyes. So a lot of great stuff marching towards Notre Dame on Saturday. If you guys could, please leave us a like on this video, click subscribe, and also click that little dinner bell, that little alert bell, let you know when we go live. We appreciate all of our regulars sitting in here. See a lot of you guys, see Mello, see Brass Tax. Thank you guys for always joining us. We appreciate you and all your comments. Shout out where you guys are watching from. And I want you to write in the comments who needs to be the MVP of the game on both offense and defense. I'm going to go Trey Henderson. I'm going to go Tommy Eichenberg. Do you guys match that? Do you guys have other ideas? I want to hear from you. So put that down in the comments. So if you guys have not subscribed to this on a regular podcast format, I have not been saying that enough. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, basically every podcast format. It is this episode is put on there. So if you guys enjoy listening to it on your way to work, give us a shout out on there and leave us a 5-star review. We'd really appreciate that. So hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much, Buckeye Nation, and thank you, Scoop family. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Go Bucks, beat Notre Dame.